Good morning, everybody. Want to welcome you to episode 3 of Unhurried, where we do our best to unhurry our lives and embrace the pace of Jesus. If you're watching us live, and by live, I mean if you're watching us on Wednesday morning, I want you to let me know how you're doing in the chat. I see some of you in the chat already. Good morning, doing well. Good morning, good morning. What's going on, everybody? Glad to see you guys. Hopefully, your Wednesday is off to a productive start. Really excited about our time together this morning. If you are tapped into this platform for the very first time, you have no idea who I am. You have no idea what this is. I want to close the gap for you really quick. My name is Sean Dreer. I'm a pastor and public theologian here in Columbia, South Carolina. I lead a group of believers called Kingdom South. We are doing our best to work the words of Jesus together in our city. And we're excited that you've joined us this morning for our first Wednesday iteration of something we used to do called Sabbath Devo. So we've really been deep into this idea of rest and unhurry and all of that. So this is our newest iteration of that. So we're grateful that you're tapped in with us. Again, if you're watching us live, if you would do us a favor, let us know how you're doing in the chat. I see you doing good. Doing well. All right, glad to see it. Glad to see it. And as you're coming in and as you're watching, if you do me a really huge favor and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so that you can get all of the notifications when new content drops. We post something here every day. You see the daily Bible reading or our live streams periodically throughout the month, but we here all the time. So we want you to make sure that you are getting all of the content. I'm really excited about our time together, so I'm not going to waste no more time. I'm getting ready to get right into this conversation because I can't wait to have it. Joining me for episode 3 is somebody I've known for, I was thinking about as as I was gearing up for this episode. I was like, I've known Freda for a long time. And so
Yeah.
I'm excited to welcome to our virtual stage my friend Freda. What's going on? Good morning
What's
to
up,
you. How are you?
Sean? Good morning.
I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you for saying yes, for agreeing to come on this platform and to share with us in this conversation about unhurried. So, really quick, for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? How did you get here? All of that good stuff.
Well, my name is Freda Funnye Johnson. I just recently got married, so
Woo!
I am I am from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I am a storyteller. I am a community connector, and I am just someone who really enjoys life and loves using my gifts and talents to serve God's people.
I love it. I love it. That brings me to this opening question that I want to ask. Doing well, Ariana. What's up? We miss you. What's going on? I know you out here running around and stuff. Um, so it brings me to this opening question that really I've kind of been curious about for a minute because for as long as I've known you, you've been this way. But I'm curious to know kind of what was the origin of that. So how did you become so community oriented in the sense of like just this passion that you have for helping people and serving people and nonprofit work? Like where did that come from? How far back do you trace that?
So there's a picture I keep on my social media page. When I was 7 years old, I was asked the question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" or "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And the only answer I could give is, "I want to help people." That was the only thing. I didn't have the vehicle on which I wanted to do it, but I know at that moment I enjoyed being able to help solve people's problems. But I really believe that the passion for it came from my grandmother and serving in the church and being around older people because I had to help serve older people when they're like, hey, go run and get me, help me fold these church programs, help me do this. So I think at an early age, I started seeing what it meant to have a community and to serve people, whether it be church, whether it be working at the local recreation center, or being in a youth program. That was my early start of how important it is to build connections with people and help solve their problems and just be a caring person.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. You mentioned your grandmother, and I want to ask this question, and then we're going to get into some of our other questions that we have for you. But as you've gotten older, well, as we've all gotten older, what do you recognize as maybe some of the differences between the generation that we grew up with? Because some of us, like, we're in a very unique situation where we grew up with around older people, so we grew up old. We understand some of the dynamics from the older generation, and yet because we're young, we were born in this generation. So what do you see as some of the differences, kind of having a foot in both of those worlds, where it's like, okay, in age, yes, you're young enough for this generation, but the way we grew up, it was just different. So it's like, what do you see as some of the differences, especially nowadays?
Yeah, I think what I see that's different is the level of one, I would say respect, and not just respect for life, but respect for yourself, and how my grandmother was a woman who her yes was yes and her no was no. She took pride in how she showed up in the world, how she dressed, how she communicated with people, and she always was concerned about others. And I think right now we live in such a selfish society where I got to get
Mm.
mines. I don't have time to help you. I don't have the time to do this. I got to be the boss of this. But I really see a difference in generation where people actually took the time to care for one another in a sense when it comes to showing up for people. I think I don't think we've lost it 100%, but I do think we have become so self-absorbed that we forgot to love ourselves, but also love each other.
Yes, so true. So y'all, I want y'all to know. So when she talks about her grandma, you listen. Your grandmother was elite. Okay, one of the best people that I've ever known. So I want you guys to understand how long I have known Free. So I've been in ministry. We're coming up on 20 years, and
Yeah.
she was at my initial sermon. That's how long.
Mhm.
That's how long I have known her. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it is such a difference just navigating through, and a lot of what they taught us, it doesn't make sense until you get to this point in life where it starts to
Yeah.
click and you're like, man, I understand some of the stuff that they were talking about. All right, so let's get into this conversation about unhurried and what your journey has been like in that. So as someone who works creatively, one, how did you get into, so we know how you got into the helping people and the serving people, so when did you realize that there was a creative element or creative aspect to your life? When did you come to that realization, like, okay, I know everybody, creative is like a buzzword today, but back in the day you had to earn your stripes. So when did you learn that you were actually creative?
Imma tell you the funniest thing, I actually got my first camera in Colombia.
Wow.
It was the summer that I came to Colombia, my grandmother bought me a $30 camera from Walmart. It had to be the summer of 2000 and I'll say 6 or something like that. And, that's when MySpace was really big at the time. And so I was literally taking photos for enjoyment. And that's when we'll get into the unhurried part, when we start taking our passions and using them as a job. But I really just wanted to post photos on MySpace and Urban Chat and Black Planet back in the day. And it wasn't because I saw myself as a creative. I just wanted to post pictures and I wanted them to look better than everybody else's. And that's really kind of how I got into it. And then people started noticing my creativity and posting my photos. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is a lane or avenue that I can go into. But that's when it comes to photography, that was my first start with that $30 2 megapixel camera. And I still have it to this day.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask if you still have that camera. That's such an inspiring start. And my shout out to MySpace. Is MySpace still like a thing? Is it
I,
like
I logged in a couple of months ago because I was trying to find some pictures of some friends so I controlled them, but I know my password still.
MySpace is y'all still on MySpace? Let me know in the chat. Anybody still got their MySpace password?
Y'all
MySpace
better
has
not.
taken me it has MySpace has taken me back. Okay, so this creative journey has led you really into two spaces. it's led you into the marketplace, and it's led you into ministry. So, what have those experiences taught you about ambition and identity?
Yeah, so those the marketplace and ministry both have its place. But for so long I always felt like my value was tied to
Mm,
producing something. And missing the point that my gifts are really there to serve people. And serving in the church or working in marketing, I always wanted to do everything with excellence. But what I really kind of learned about that was that if you're not careful, sorry, I just got my braces out, it can start turning into performance.
mm.
So you start to um, want to produce more, you want to create more, and you start missing the mark. And that's when you slowly forget what your why is. Why are you a creative in ministry? Why are you a creative in the marketplace? What is your contribution other than just being a producer? And then also, how are you serving God with those talents that He has given you, whether it be a singer or a songwriter or a photographer, videographer, or just someone who can creatively plan and curate events? If we're not careful, we do tend to run into performance issues. And then that can kind of lead us into the early stages of burnout because we're so fixated on how much we can do, and we lose the quality of things so much of the quantity of it.
Yes. So good and so necessary. So I wanna lean into something because we were talking about it before we actually went live,
Mhm.
and that's this idea of performance
Yeah.
and what happens and what a lot of people would be surprised to know. Because very, very few of us get the privilege of doing what we do, and that's being
Mhm.
able to serve in ministry in such an active capacity. So there are a lot of people who, they serve when they can, and there's nothing wrong with that. But those of us who are really entrenched in ministry, our vantage point is a lot different. And so we were talking about how ministry has kind of morphed into this very performance driven industry. So,
Mhm.
what has that been like for you? One as a Christian and then as a creative, because you're like me, you're a church kid. So you've seen kind of the arc of church over the last 20-25 years. So what has that been like for you as a Christian and as a creative, seeing church kind of transition into this heavy, like performance, production driven, experience
Mhm.
based kind of thing? What's that been like for you?
I think what ministry has taught me, so I feel like the marketplace has taught me how to communicate, how to
Mhm.
be strategic, but ministry has taught me that people matter more than platforms. And
Oof.
when we start getting away from the people who we are really called to minister to, shepherd, that is when we have lost the true focus. Because when Jesus was here, his sole mission was the people. That was his only mission. Was he thought about us. He was thinking about us. He did not get deterred on all the extra stuff. His sole mission was us. And I see a whole lot of this new era of music and ministry, or a lot of the e-churches and the online platforms, is that we should not get away from people and put platforms over people.
Yes, yes. I just put that in the chat. That is so people matter more than platforms because I think sometimes we say it, but I wonder sometimes in our actions and our activity, like how much of that do we actually mean based on
Mhm.
how we run our lives, how we run our churches and the whole nine. So you mentioned how performance can lead to burnout.
Mhm.
So take us through maybe a season where you found yourself in burnout or nearing burnout. How did that realization come to be? So what was that like for you? What was your kind of hit the wall moment?
You know, burnout can happen. It doesn't happen immediately. it can be compound over years. It can be compound, over time if it's not monitored. Just like if you don't get your oil change or if you don't maintenance your car, you slowly start to see it break down and now you have this big problem. But for me, I realized when I was saying yes to every request
Mm,
and I wanted every opportunity, whether it be a photography gig or a church or working in a nonprofit or serving on a board or freelancing or social media. It was yes to everything. And I realized at that moment, you can't say yes to every single thing and then expect everything to go well because something is going to fall. If you try to put too much in your hand, something, you can't hold it all. So I just realized that, whether you say yes or whether you say no, it's going to happen regardless, with or without you. And I think at sometimes we feel like the show will not go on without us. If you don't do it, it won't get done. And also I just realized I just loved it all. I want to do it all. And it's nothing wrong with that. But just because I could doesn't mean I was supposed to.
yes.
And eventually I stopped creating out of joy and I started doing things out of obligation. And
Mm,
that's going back to the question you asked about how did you start being creative? I started creating because I wanted to have fun. And then, working in the market and getting in ministry, you start having that wake up call that you're doing it out of obligation, not because you say, "Oh God, I want to serve you and your people." It's like, "Oh, I got to do this," because you say yes to too much stuff, and now people are expecting you to deliver on your yes. So you just got to be careful with that because it can kind of creep up on you.
yes, absolutely. And so I want to lean into that a little more. This idea of saying yes and always, because again, as church kids, I think it's one of the shadow sides to being a church kid, especially the kind of church kid that we were when. And
Yeah.
so, guys, when I say when I say church kid, I mean for us, our grandparents signed us up for things without our permission.
Oh, you're gonna go to do that. You teach in vacation Bible school. What? I'm just a
Absolutely.
kid.
They signed us up for stuff without our permission. Like we would get to church, see our name on the program, just all kind of stuff. Yeah, they ain't
You a
told you.
usher today. You be like, what? And you got to sing on the choir after you finish doing that.
Absolutely. So because that's how we were raised, you kind of get immediately sucked into this always serving mode. So
Hmm.
how much of that do you think has contributed to this constant need to say yes to people? How much of that do you think can be attributed to just growing up in this service-based industry like the church where every time people need you, you got to show up?
That's a great question. To me, I could tell that I didn't hit that realization probably till last year. And I think it's because you didn't want to let people down, but not so much. You didn't want to let your grandparent down. You didn't want to let them down because if you said no, then that's a reflection of them because why your kid ain't serving? And you're
Yeah.
like, but I'm doing everything else. It's almost like you were punished. And it's like, well, my
Oh,
other friends, they don't have to come to everything. Their parents ain't making them do that. So it almost transitions into the workspace and other areas of your life because you don't want to let someone down. And you don't mind sacrificing your energy, your time, because if you say no, it's a form of disobedience. And
ooh,
that's what we were taught. Like if you tell me no, you're not being obedient. And one of my Sunday school teachers, I miss her so much. They used to always say, obedience is better than sacrifice. So you're like, we were always taught to always be doing stuff, and it could be, because our grandparents grew up in a certain time. It was escapism, undercover from the world. We
oh
felt safe
my.
at our churches, but we couldn't go into, well, I can't say we, I think our grandparents could not do certain things in other spaces. There were no homes for them, so they felt valued and protected in the church. So if they was going to be at church from 6 a.m. all the way to 6 p.m. doing everything, then that's where they was going to be at, and that's where you were going to be at too. And then when you finally say no as an adult, you felt guilty So you continued on that thing of saying yes to everything because I don't want to disappoint nobody. So I got to do it. So yeah, that's what it's taught me as an adult. And now I'm finally free from that. Sorry, I spit. Free from that.
Oh my goodness. This is so when you listen, I was about to run through the screen. This idea of no being a form of disobedience is so, oh my goodness. I think especially those of us who grew up in, because it is such a thing. Like
Yeah.
burning out, always being at everyone's beckoning call is a badge of honor in church. It's a badge of honor in really service-based industries, period. But specifically the
Hmm.
church, it is a badge of honor. And so those habits and those things do translate into adulthood. And I want to lean into something else that I think also contributes. So you mentioned earlier that when you first got started, you were posting, you wanted to post on MySpace and you wanted your pictures to look better than everybody else's. So it was an innocent kind of youthfulness, but we know how that innocent youthfulness quickly morphs into comparison.
Yeah.
So as a creative, when you're constantly surrounded by other people's work. So anytime you log on to any social media app, whether it be the clock app, whether it be Instagram, whether it be
Hmm.
like anytime you log on anywhere, you're surrounded by other people's work. So how have you learned to honor your own path without getting distracted by someone else's? What's that journey been like for you?
I really had a hard time with that in my early 20s. um, Especially when social media was in the early development stage, and then Instagram came and it was heavy on pictures. That's before reels and shorts and all of that stuff was popping. So all creative people would showcase their stuff, and you're like, wow, people are really, drawn to this work. It looks so crisp, it looks so clear. So instead of developing my own eye, I wanted to make my work look like a certain artist. Over
Mm,
time, as I started to see people appreciate the work that I was doing, I had to remind myself that, God has given us all a unique ID of something. And then I look at my hands and I'm like, everyone has, well, most of us have fingers, and everyone has a fingerprint. And everyone's fingerprint is unique to them and only them only. And I had to appreciate, like, God, my gift is my fingerprint. How I see
mm.
things is not how someone else see things, because how I see things is a part of my own personal story and my own journey. And if everyone's stuff was the same, it would be so boring. So if I learned to appreciate other people's work and celebrate their uniqueness, but also not take for granted what I also bring to the world as a creative and my own uniqueness as well.
Oh, that is so good. That is so, 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 so good. It reminds me of something one of my mentors always says, how to be inspired without desire.
Yeah.
It's like I can look at what you have, I can appreciate what you have without wanting what you have. And that's such a
Hmm.
hard journey. So if you could really quick, if you could speak to maybe the new creator, the person who's just now stepping into the space. So you mentioned when you first stepped into the space, of course, social media was just now getting started and that kind of stuff. So you've had an opportunity to grow with and be a part of some of the social media evolution. But to the person who may be stepping into that space right now, where there
Hmm.
are pictures and reels and everything has to be, back in the day. And it's crazy because when we were in that season, we didn't see it this way. But as we look back, like I remember you posted something. Oh, it was the other day when I don't even know what the thing is called. So you have to you have to help me with this. I'm old. Um uh, it's like so on Instagram, like instance, that's what it is. So and I remember you,
Instance.
you were talking about like how originally that's what it was about. It was just people posting random stuff. It was just you posted no words, no nothing, and people just had an opportunity for their minds to wander. But now because of the evolution of social media and everything has to be so production driven and everything has to be so this and so that. So how would you encourage that young creative who's just now stepping into this space and there's so much going on? How would you encourage them to kind of navigate through this comparison?
Yeah, it is hard because you have so many platforms, so many things. Again, the world is telling you that in order to play, you have to do it a certain way.
Hmm.
And I would tell a younger creative is to understand what you are contributing to the world. It's funny, I missed the BT Awards the other day, but I loved what Lauryn Hill was
Oh,
saying.
she's
She
the
was
goat.
saying, I mean, I love Lauryn Hill, as you can
She is the
tell.
goat.
She mentioned that we all have a gift and that someone needs our gift. So don't sell your gift short. And that hit me so profound. So if I had to speak to a younger creative, I would tell them something similar like, don't allow the world to dictate how you show up in the world. Be true to yourself. Always know that you will leave this behind. And again, when we talk about hurry, it's like we're always in a rush to do the next thing. But I say we're all on this conveyor belt that is slowly moving us to death. And people don't like to talk about death, but Ecclesiastes is one of my favorite books of the Bible. And it talks about there's a time and place for everything, that we labor under this hot sun for it all to vanish eventually. So
Yes.
just know to enjoy the art form, to enjoy what you have to contribute, and to use it as a way to communicate and to serve people. Don't turn yourself into an AI robot, because that is what a lot of people are competing with. And we're
Hmm.
trying to burn out with something that is just a computer. And you're not a computer, you're a human being. So,
Oh my goodness. This is so good. So you mentioning this idea of us being human and not computers. I was watching this podcast interview where the guy was talking about how the concept of multitasking originated in tech. He's like the term was coined by IBM. He was like it was about computers. So this idea of
mhm.
humans being able to multitask, he's like it's not a thing. It's like it's just not. It's not how humans are designed and humans are wired. So you mentioned Lauren here. I got to quit. This has nothing to do with nothing, but has everything to do with everything. But I am curious as to your take on this. So with Lauren, what do you think made that album so special? Because not everybody, like in this fast-paced production driven society, for somebody to make one album and then go to the crib and still 30 years later people are
Mm.
like, oh, this is icon. What do you think made the album so iconic?
It had intentionality, and it had a message, and it had a purpose. I
Mm,
can listen to that album every week, and there is something that I can take from it. I mean, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. She had a message. And when we live in such a fast paced world that is, again, constantly wanting you to produce something, you don't even have the time to think about what you're trying to communicate, because you want to be the next TikTok song. So every week, every 2 weeks, you're producing garbage. With
mm,
her, she had a message. And I do believe she was I really believe that God spoke to her on that album, because she just talks about how, how we sell our souls for money. She talked all about that. If you go through and listen to her lyrics, she really had a message, and she wasn't afraid to use her voice, and she wasn't afraid to be really revolutionary in a time where the industry was sucking people in, and gold jewelry and all this stuff. The industry was changing, and she's like, I'm not selling my soul to compete, to be in a hurry, to produce more. This is what I have to say, and this is what I have to give to the world. And I think that's why her album has stood the test of times. I don't remember half of these songs that come out a couple of months ago, but I can remember a Lauryn
facts.
Hill song.
Facts. All facts. All facts. But she is I was telling somebody that when she was up talking, when she was giving her acceptance speech, and I was like, the one thing that I so respect about her is that she has stood on business. All these years, she has stood on business. Even when they were interviewing, I think it was like Entertainment Today or something, they were talking to the young lady who was a part of Sister Act with her, and she was saying to be able to see her and the things that she valued as a teenager, she still values those things today. And it's like, oh, it's
Wow.
so rare to be able to see somebody like that. So I was curious as to your thought, but it's such an iconic. We got people in the chat like, yep, love Lauren Hill. She is. Listen, it
Yeah.
was it was just I'm waiting on her. Shameless plug. Okay, I don't know where this video is gonna end up, but shameless plug. I just need to say this. I need before somewhere between now and heaven, we need Lauren Hill on Tiny Desk. Okay, let me just
That's
throw
right.
that out there. We need Lauren Hill on
We
Tiny
do.
Desk. We need
Do.
her on Tiny Desk. Okay, so how has this idea of learning to slow down actually help you become more clear in what you've been called to do? So you mentioned the importance of kind of understanding what contribution you were supposed to make. So how has this journey of unhurrying your life and slowing down helped you to do that? We were talking a little bit about this book you're reading. So if
Mhm.
you could talk a little bit about kind of how all of that has been coming full circle for you in the season of learning to slow down and how that's been contributing to clarity.
Um, so slowing down has helped me personally be able to filter out the noise and the things that I was doing that was not adding, it wasn't making any impact. Um, and I think we said this, learning how to slow down, you can I sat in my car the other day, and I don't know if y'all are addicted to sitting in your car once you park like I am, but my husband hates it, and it's probably because he's a police officer, but he's like, "You just sit in that car." And it's probably for safety reasons, but however, I sat in the car. I was not in a hurry to get out, and a bird came and sat on my car for 1 minute and 30 seconds with me. Had I
Wow.
been rushing, I wouldn't have been able to sit with that bird. I felt like Snow White. But, I mean, we just sat there, he looking at me, and
Absolutely.
Imma post a video later because I ain't lying. But slowing down has helped me appreciate that we be doing too much and don't be
Yes.
doing nothing at all.
Oof.
And I can sit, and it has brought me so much peace and so much clarity on, like, okay, I thought I was a photographer. I thought I was a nonprofit. I thought I was this. But what I realized, what I truly am, is a person who loves and enjoys telling stories that help and shape the world. I
Mm,
couldn't see that in thinking I was always a photographer and accepting every gig. It's like, you taking pictures of this, and this has nothing to do with what your mission is. And it also reminds me of Jesus' mission on here. He came here for one purpose. When people try to deter him for why he was here, he had to remind him that he was here for his father's business. He wasn't here for X, Y, and Z. He wasn't here for that. His sole mission was to come onto this earth, to be concerned about us, and to leave. And I think we can adopt that same model. It's like we are only given a short amount of time on this earth,
yes.
and we need to be focused on exactly what it is that we are put here to do. All that other stuff is irrelevant. Why are you here on this earth? And slowing down has helped me to develop that ear to listen and to hear God clearly in a noisy world.
Yes. Yes, world is so noisy. So what's the title of the book? Because we were talking about it offline. Is it the
Yeah.
philosophy of walking?
Yeah, I have so many books. I hope this author sees this. I hope he's still alive. But I'm reading The Philosophy of Walking. And I just really got started on it. But it just talks about how slowness, I kid you not, we're talking about pacing, and it just talks about the importance of slowness. And then one of the examples in the book, this man of 70, he's 73 or 74 years old, is hiking. If you ever been hiking, you know, sometimes it can be a real challenge. But he notices young people speeding to get to the summit as if it wouldn't be there. And he laughs about it because he's like, they're missing so much on the way up because they're such in a hurry to get to the top. And I noticed that about, um, excuse me, myself at one point in time, and about people. We are so in a hurry to finish this degree. We're so in a hurry to get married. We're such in a hurry to be the next star or be viral that we miss all of the beautiful things along the way and the lessons that we can learn. And eventually, this man meets them at the top. And once he gets there, they're now having to decide how they're going to get back to the bottom. And sometimes we get to the top till we realize, I don't even really want to be here. I
Mm,
rushed to get to somewhere I wasn't even prepared for because I didn't take the time to develop. I have so many young women who desire marriage and want to be married and are rushing to find, to be in a relationship when they don't know the benefits and some people that are married will switch places with them just to be single again. And so it's just so much that you can learn from just slowing down and appreciating where you are in life. And it's just been such a peaceful experience for me. People don't even ask me for stuff no more because I done said no too many times.
I
No,
am weak there, but
somebody else. It's for somebody else. It ain't for me no more.
get somebody else to do it. And it's such a humbling experience. You said something offline that I wanted to share with everybody. In that we don't like it takes saying no for us to realize sometimes we aren't as needed as we think we are. Like, it's a humbling experience because
Yeah,
we can convince ourselves in this chronic yes that, "Oh, if I don't do it, oh, if I don't," and it's like, no, sometimes you other people aren't doing it because you are doing it. Sometimes you have to
yep.
just say no. It's such a hard lesson for us to learn and to embrace. But older people give us the best lessons. So even for the older man in the book to be talking about watching younger people. If I could just sit down and talk to 'cause that generation, like they're getting up out of here. But I
They
can
are
only
going.
imagine what's going on in their minds as they look at us kind of navigating through the world. Okay, this has been an incredible conversation. You have added so much value and given us so much perspective. So I got two final questions as we prepare to land this plane. The first one is like a seriously unserious question, and then the other one is kind of the wrap up that we do with all of our guests. So the first one is like, so how did you become so adventurous? Like every time, so listen, y'all, if you end up following her on Instagram or any other places, you are always doing something. Like you be
Yeah, that's
hiking,
what people
you
be
be getting
saying. I'm
ice
always doing
cream,
something.
you be doing so. Like, how did you become so adventurous? I mean, like you be outside, so it's like, and it's like it's not outside in the kind of peoply sense. It's outside in the you're enjoying and living life. So how did you get there? How did you get to because you've always been, at least in my estimation, one of the most authentic people I've ever met, where you really are that person. Like I think people sometimes they work hard to try to put on and do so many things, but it's like this is authentically who you are. So what's that? How did you get there? How did you kind of discover that? Oh, I do like to be outdoors. I do like all that. How did you get there?
Well, when you grow up as a single child and all your aunts and uncles are out of the house, you have to learn how to use your imagination. And I have a mentor named Jesse Jordan, and we still talk to this day. He taught me at the age of 6 and 7 how to um, be whimsy, be like use my imagination. And it's so fun at 34. I feel like people don't play enough. We too
Yes.
serious. Like I got gray hairs, I get it, but that's wisdom. But we got to get back to being playful and joyful and to have not always needing people around us to do things. And I felt this goes back to hurrying and noise. When you have so many people around you all the time, you don't even know what you like. You only
Mm.
doing it because they like it.
Oh
If you
my.
don't like going to happy, if you don't like going to Sunday brunch and you being forced to do things you don't want to do because your friends going there, stop going. If I enjoy going out to eat by myself or going out in the woods or sitting in my car, I just really take that at a young age. I had to entertain myself. And it's just so fun when you can get out there and just see what all God has created. Like I love looking at azalea trees and crepe myrtles and stuff. Don't ask me how I know this, but I love nature. I love life, and it's all in the details that God has created. And I'm ready to go outside right now. When I get off this live, I'm gonna walk to the grocery store.
Listen, you be outside. All right. So again, thank you so much for adding value to our
Thank
community.
you.
As we land this plane officially, if you could sit across from younger Freda. So young Freda sitting across from you, whatever age you want to pick, maybe, when you first got this love for creativity, when you first got that camera, if you could sit across from her, what would you tell her about navigating life?
I would tell her to stop believing that she has to prove her worth.
Mm.
Some people will clap for you, some people won't. Some people will recognize you, some people won't. But in all of these things, just to continue striving to be the best that you can be, to learn along the way, and that in all of these things, in each stage of your life, God is shaping you for His purpose, and that's what I will leave with her. Is that's all that matters.
Oh my goodness. So good. Everybody in the chat, if you could help me thank Freda for spending a part of her morning with us. Thank you so much. You have added so much value to our community. I'm so grateful. You guys, if you would hit that like button, hit the share button, if this has helped you in any way, added any value to you, if you would help us to help more people. This has been a really good conversation. Thank you for
Yes.
agreeing to come and share a portion of your story. Thank you for the contributions that you make to the world and serving people and keeping the legacy of those who have taught us alive in all the work that you do. Really grateful for you. If people want to follow you, find you, different places, well, how can they do that?
Yeah, so my name on Instagram is Freda Funnye, but my name on Facebook is Freda Johnson. But yeah, if y'all want to connect, I'll be in Colombia sometimes. I like to eat. And I just challenge everyone today to slow down. Don't look at your phone after this live. Just take in what you have heard today and go outside.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, everybody. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Those of you who joined us live, thank you for being here live. If you perhaps catching this replay, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Maybe somebody sent it to you. We're so grateful. In the chat, they're saying thank you, Freda. So we're really excited. I put your IG information in there so that they can find you on there. Y'all, she be living life. So I'm telling you, when I say living free, like she is, she is
Living
absolutely
free.
positively living free. Again, guys, this is Unhurried, where we do our best to unhurry our lives and embrace the pace of Jesus. If you're a part of our spiritual family, we're getting ready to start a new series of teachings on Sunday called KS at the Movies, where we copy the illustrative genius of Jesus by using movies as modern day parables. So this is part of the reason why I wanted creatives on for the next 2 months. So thank you, Freda, for being our
Thank
first
you.
creative on to come and share with us. Guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week. If you're part of our spiritual family, we'll see you on Sunday. If you're not, hopefully you hit the subscribe button and we'll see you here sometime for something else that we're doing so that we can work the words of Jesus together. All right, guys, take care.